And welcome everybody to my Marvel Cinematic Movie Universe timeline breakdown. Now for this timeline, there's two important things to keep in mind. One is BMI, and that's before the events of Iron Man 1, and two is AMI, after Iron Man 1. And as we know, Iron Man 1 takes place during 2008, so everything chronologically is going to be placed around that movie. And to kick it off, we're going to go with Thor, which is approximately 600 years before Iron Man, or 1408. 600 years before Iron Man 1, in 1408, Odin travels back to Norway and leaves the Cosmic Cube. We of course see this at the beginning of Thor, and the battle with the Frost Giants over the casket of Ancient Winters. Next, it has been told that the cube is placed here and watched over by the locals. Of course, we see this during Captain America. And speaking of Captain America, this takes place 67 years before Iron Man 1, in 1941, where the Red Skull, Johann Schmidt, invades Norway, the same place where the Cosmic Cube was left, and he finds it hidden behind the Tree of Life in the wall. But now, just a few years after that, we have the first super soldier serum that is successful. It's important to know that the Red Skull was also an attempt at the super soldier, although he was one of the earlier tests of the serum, which later on gets used, but we'll cover that when we get to it. Now, in 1943, Captain America ends up defeating Johann Schmidt and crashes the airplane into the Arctic. Right here, he's presumed dead, but they still keep searching for his body. And in 1963, Howard Stark and Anton Vanko together come up with the arc reactor technology. Now, 5 years before Iron Man 1 in 2003, Bruce Banner tries to recreate the super soldier serum using gamma radiation. Unfortunately, it doesn't go the way he plans, and he ends up turning into the Hulk. From this point on, he goes on the run. And now we arrive at Iron Man 1. Tony Stark is kidnapped by the Ten Rings. He also makes a miniature arc reactor to keep the metal from entering his heart. We quickly jump forward to 2 days after the events of Iron Man, where Nick Fury approaches Tony Stark about the Adventure Initiative. And then 6 months after Iron Man 1, Bruce Banner is hiding out in Rio de Janeiro, and Blonsky and General Ross find his location due to the bottling plant incident. At that same time, Tony Stark ends up fighting Ivan Vanko, aka Whiplash, at the Monaco Grand Prix. He defeats him using the Centurion armor suitcase. Now here, everything happens in the course of 1 week, as described in Fury's Big Week comic tie-in and the movies. So at this time, Nick Fury orders Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, and Jane Foster to be put a watch on so he can keep tabs on them. Then we cut to Iron Man 2, where Tony Stark and Rhodey battle out in the apartment. During this time, we get Black Widow to make the call, and Tony Stark is giving the lockbox that his father had. Then we go to Thor, and this is at the same time happening as the last scene, where Thor is having a coronation where he's about to become king. During Fury's Big Week, and at the same time, Tony Stark is watching his father's footage, of course, and at this time, Thor and the crew decide to go to Jotunheim and mess with everything up. And then Thor is banished to Earth. At this time, Agent Coulson travels to Roswell to find Thor's hammer. We of course see this in Iron Man 2. Tony and Rhodes at the end of Iron Man 2 unite and stop Ivan Vanko. The War Machine armor is still missing. At this time, Bruce Banner tries to get into his whole lab, but it doesn't really go good, and Blonsky is ended up given the super soldier serum. Later that day, Betty and Bruce are reunited and they go to the university. During this time, the battle is happening in Mexico, which almost leaves the little town half destroyed. Up in New York, the Hulk ends up going on his rampant spree and destroying almost everything in sight. During the same time, at the end of Iron Man 2, we see that the consultant, aka Tony Stark, is getting debriefed about the Avenger Initiative. On the screens, we can see the Hulk incident as it's happening, and also, this is when S.H.I.E.L.D. is sent in to recover the Destroyer armor and start building weapons based on the tech. Fury is then told by the higher-ups that they need some sort of plan. Fury decides that he knows exactly what to do, because we are not alone. During this time, Blonsky is full on and becomes, the Abomination due to the leader, who then gets smashed and ends up becoming the leader full on. At that time, Natasha Romanoff fights him in New York. At the same time, Hulk and Abomination are battling downtown, and Fury's told to hand over Abomination to General Ross. At this time, we see that Thor has defeated Loki, whose location is currently unknown. He is presumed dead. Stark, the consultant, talks to Ross and tries to piss him off so that he will not let them use the Abomination to get him on the team. It works, and General Ross decides not to, which was the plan all along, because they did not want Abomination. At this point, 30 days after, Bruce Banner masters his anger. At the same time, Fury shows Selvig the Cosmic Cube and orders him to start working on it. And then at this time, Agent Coulson and Nick Fury are both watching on as Captain America is de-thawed. And during this time, on the other side, we have the setup of the Tesseract test site, which leads us straight into the beginning of the Avengers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this timeline breakdown. It took a lot of detail and effort to put it together. So take care, and have a good one, everybody.